Hi guys, Stylist here, bringing you this video game review of Earthworm Jim. Earthworm Jim was one of my favourite characters growing up. I loved the cartoon show, and really thought the game brought out the humour of the series, incorporating all the characters in a fun 2D platformer. Well, I hope you enjoy this review of Earthworm Jim. Earthworm Jim is a platforming 2D video game about an earthworm called Jim who finds himself in possession of a robotic supersuit and who battles evil. First released for the Sega Mega Drive in 1994 and developed by Shiny Entertainment and Playmate Interactive Entertainment. The game plays as a side-scrolling platformer with elements of running and gunning as well, where the player controls Jim and must have him maneuver through the levels while avoiding obstacles and enemies. Jim can use his plasma gun to shoot enemies, which can be upgraded to fire other projectiles, and Jim can use his head as a whip. The whip move also allows players to grab hold of and swing from hooks in levels. Some levels have other requirements aside from getting to the end, such as the level For Pete's Sake, which involves making sure Peter Puppy gets through the level unharmed by whipping him so that he jumps over pits and avoiding enemies. Otherwise Pete mutates into his alter ego and attacks Jim. Most levels end with boss battles, incorporating a large variety of villains like Psycho, Evil the Cat, Professor Monkey for a head, and Bob the Killer Goldfish. In between most levels, a racing level called Anti-Asteroids takes place, where Jim on his rocket must race against Psycho for a tube-like structure, while collecting enemies and boosts and avoiding asteroids. If Jim wins, then the next level starts. Otherwise the player must fight against Psycho in a special boss fight that must be won in order to progress. One of my favourite levels in the game was the Snot a Problem level, which involved bungee jumping. I'm not quite sure what the point of this level was, but it was a welcome addition and broke up the standard levels. Maybe the developers thought to put the level in for the sake of it. Anyway, I really liked the level and thought it was a great example of Earthworm Jim's goofy humour. On the other hand, the level I hated with an absolute passion was the underwater maze, where you spent the majority of your time in a submarine, avoiding crashing into the walls, which was very difficult to do. The controls were so sensitive that it was pretty much inevitable that you were going to crash at some point, which made it worse since the submarine could not take much damage to begin with, and you also had a time limit to contend with. This level was absolutely awful, and sadly it did hinder my enjoyment of this game. Development for Earthworm Jim began when Playmate Toys, having found success with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles license, wanted to start their own franchise. Inspired by the success of the Sonic the Hedgehog series, they decided they wanted to start the franchise as a video game. Jim himself was created by Doug Tidnapal, who presented a sketch of the Earthworm to Shiny Entertainment, who bought the rights and started developing the game. Previously, the company had been restricted to doing licensed games, like 7-Up's Cool Spot, where they had to conform to the vision of the intellectual property. Earthworm Jim, however, allowed the company to run wild with their imagination, leading to the surreal humour and bizarre world that characterises the game. Earthworm Jim was created as a satire of other platforming video games at the time, with Princess Wha'ts-Her-Name being created as a parody of the damsel in distress that existed in many 80s and 90s video games, by having her not being interested in Jim at all, but having him rescuing her anyway. The game features fluid animation, using a hand-drawn art style that was unusual for 16-bit releases. I thought it was a great move since it made the game look unique from other games at the time, and really created a cartoon look and feel that would define the Earthworm Jim franchise. The game includes several difficulty settings, which gave added replay value to complete the game on higher difficulties. In terms of music, I really enjoyed the opening level, New Junk City. The music of the level had a grunge-like feel to it, which was very 90s, and I also liked the Wild West style music used for the Anti-Asteroids level. The music really spurred you on, making you want to beat Psycho and not have to face him in a boss fight. Earthworm Jim was very well received by critics upon its release, winning Best Genesis Game of 1994 by Electronic Gaming Monthly, and was rated the 114th best game made on a Nintendo system in Nintendo Power's Top 200 Games list. The game has been ported to numerous systems like the Super Nintendo, the Game Boy Advance, as well as a special edition version for the Mega CD, which included new and expanded levels and alternate endings. A high-definition remake entitled Earthworm Jim HD was released for Xbox Live Arcade and the PlayStation Network in 2010. The game received a sequel, Earthworm Jim 2, released in 1995, and two further games, Earthworm Jim 3D for the Nintendo 64 and Earthworm Jim Menace to the Galaxy for the Game Boy Color, both in 1999. To conclude, Earthworm Jim is a fun 2D platformer, creating a bizarre and wacky universe with a memorable protagonist at the centre of it. I would highly recommend this game, and if you haven't already played it, find a copy somewhere and enjoy the great Earthworm Jim. Well, that was my review on Earthworm Jim. If you liked what you saw, please leave a comment in the section below and share your thoughts on Earthworm Jim. Rate this video, and if you like my work, please visit my channel and subscribe. Well, until next time, peace out guys.